Hey, welcome back to my React series. In this episode, I'll be teaching you how to render a list. And while rendering the list in React, we'll be showing you how to render components using map and how to render specific components using filter and how to delegate IDs to keys specific items in the list and why do we do that. So just let's get started without wasting much time. You have a normal list of arrays in which you have like some items here. For example, I'm using two cats. I'm just using two items which are two cats with some breed, with some color, with some description. Okay, now this is the HTML. I'll be removing it later. So here, how to generate, or rather how to render components from there. So I make a component called const_pets. So export const_pets. Now I use these values in my component. So the pets have these properties. It's like an object. ID is one of the properties. Now every ID is a unique value, and here I'm giving value based on the order, like first item, second item, but not, I don't dedicate it as an index but as an ID. Why? Because unique ID, when you want to sort the item, when you want to delete the items, when you want to replace the items, nothing happens to the unique IDs, right? Otherwise the property mismatch will be there. The values will go from one item to the other item if you don't have a unique ID. So that's the idea of giving the unique ID. So I've given the color, breed, ID in my component, which is the const_cats. And after that, I make another component, get image URL. This, if you remember, in one of my previous tutorials, I made this in order to get the image ID, because in the component for cats, I also need an image ID, right? So that I'll get from this value. Okay, so here image ID, I'll put in over there. So I have like two cats. I've written the breed, color, image ID and the unique ID. So now I'll be showing you how do I get the image ID from imgur. I'd already shown that in my previous tutorial, but I'll put in a link to that here, and I'll be showing briefly and quickly how to get hold of the image ID, and you can try doing that yourself. Okay, so I go to my image imgur, and here I get into the image that I have uploaded here, two cats. Sorry, it's a bit big, and I go here and right click on preview image. Then I will get that ID and I write it over here. So all you need to do is go to the image that you've uploaded, right click on preview image, not preview page but preview image, and then you'll get that ID. Write it down here. Okay, so you've got all the information for all the properties, for both the cats. So the const_cats is already made. Now after that, what else you need? You need okay, the image URL ID is there. Okay, you need to make you need to make the list, right? So the final component is going to be, the main component going to be the list. So that's why we use export, if you remember. Default, sorry. So default is used for the main component. So export default function list. So list component. So here you make this variable const list items, right? Because you need to return what? The list items. So here you're getting this value for const list items, which is a variable, and in this case it is going to be returned in this function using JSX, and also you're going to map. So in order to get the list, you need to map the pets, to get all the pet images and information with the details that we want. That is already present in the array. So pet list. So between the open and closed list, we dedicate a value pet.id that will replace within curly braces to the key, as I already mentioned, why we give unique ID to each pet, so that they are identifiable. Then image source, from the other component get image URL of the pet. all will be pet.name within curly braces. So all this is the JSX within the curly braces so that the values will be substituted to the props later on. Yeah. So here in bold you have the pet.name. Then after that the next line you have the pet.breed. Which is preceded and followed by empty space, that's why you have the colons, and then the color of the pet.color. So this is the bit of the description which will come between the open and closed paragraph link P, and then before that the image will be there. So here you need to also return what? The function list will return the list items within the UL container. Do not forget that. It is wrapped by the UL, open and closed UL, because it's unlisted, remember. So list items again within curly braces. So your JSX is complete. Now you need to render it. So const root equals create react dom.create root document.get element by ID, because what you are going to render? List. So get element by ID root, and then root.render what? The list. So the list component will be written there within the parenthesis. So let's see what's happening. Is it being rendered or not? Okay, something's amiss here. I think there's some typo mistake here, that's why it's not rendering. So let's check it out. Okay, let me first align them all properly. Sometimes when the alignment goes wrong, also it doesn't get rendered well. And also for your convenience, for you to remember, it's easier, you don't get confused if you write it in different lines. Sorry about that. So you have the list with the key of pet.id, which I explained why. In this case, I've allocated 0 and 1 because based on first item, second item and the order. But I didn't write it as index, because had I written as index, then when the order will change, index will change. That's why I dedicated the value as ID. When you write it as ID, then the value will not change. So then alt is pet name. So you have like all the name, the URL, the pet ID, the pet name, the pet.breed, which is for the breed, and pet.color, which is all within curly braces. So this is your typical JSX. So this is what you will see on the screen. This is for your UI. This is how you manage your UI in React, that we've already seen it earlier. And something's wrong somewhere, some typo or something I've missed out. That's why it's not being rendered. So I'm just checking it one by one. Okay. And I'm using JSitter, so I've given it the React library by clicking React in the library. So all the React library and Babel will get installed, which I've already shown how to do in my previous tutorial, so I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, I removed that bit of HTML from there. Okay, now for the image URL, just to again repeat, how do I get the image ID? From the image URL, I go there and I right click and take out the image ID from there, from the picture, preview image. So that part also you're clear about it. And then here I've written s.jpg because that is for the small image. If I would have written JPEG, that is, then it would have been a large image. See, that's a small one. Now here I'm writing a small bit of CSS, list style type is none, in order to get rid of the bullets there. Nothing else fancy. You would need to do serious CSS here in order to beautify the final result. I'm not into that. This is for the large image. So I'm not into doing the CSS. That's why it might look ugly here. This is only to explain the concept in React. So that's why I'm not taking care of the final output, the beauty of the final output, or rather the styling. Yeah, so here you can see Gigu, the breed, the color, all have come up. Okay, so that was about mapping. So after mapping, you get all the information for both the cats. That was inside your list, inside your array and inside your data. But what if you want to specifically render only those components with a certain property? So you only want to get those breeds of pets which are teddy. So then what you do, const teddy is equal to pets.filter those pets which are only teddies. So I need to do that. So you have to use the filter method in order to get those pets who's such that the pet.breed is teddy. So this is the arrow function again. Now here I need to use the filter method followed by the map method. So then what happens? Then we see in the result, we will specifically get, there you go, only one picture, one cat, because I've used only two data. If I use more, normally you're supposed to use so many. So I will be only getting the pictures of those pets which are teddies. So that's the idea of using filters. So you can use it for mapping all your items with all the properties, or you can use it to filter, to get to render components which are specific to the property or traits that you want. Yeah, and then you already seen how to give the unique ID. So press that, smash that subscribe button, like and share in order to see more serious tutorials. This one is a simple project just to explain the concepts of Reacts. See you in the next tutorial, and I hope you've learned how to render components using mapping.